Sharing your art with the world takes a lot of courage. Now, that might sound a bit strange to say at first, but if you really break it down to its most fundamental form, art is an expression of your innermost ideas, emotions, and thoughts. To overcome those thoughts of fear, worry, and doubt, or the idea that people might brush past these ideas and emotions that you're putting out in front of them, is a really challenging one to deal with. But at the end of the day, it's totally worth it. It's worth it because art allows you to express ideas that you otherwise wouldn't, or connect with people that you otherwise couldn't. I can't imagine living in a world without art. It would be this lifeless, bland world that makes me think of suburbia. Everything is the same and it's like a maze. Art is what gives our world a unique feeling. Now, I definitely don't have all the answers when it comes to this sort of thing. So I thought we would talk to a few other artists and see what their thoughts are. So let's head over to my friend Kendall's studio and see why it's so important to share your artwork.
Sharing artwork at first for me was not very easy. It was a little bit difficult because it is something very vulnerable and very personal. And I feel like a lot of people can share that sentiment, but it's when we start sharing that work and talking about the why and the art and, you know, the reason that this is so important, that helps to kind of bring connection, and you can find your community that way. You can be more bold in what you're making. You can make things that you never thought you would. It just opens a whole world of possibility. Art making is my language. That's my way of communicating my thoughts and feelings and kind of like what's inside me. I know that sounds kind of corny, but it's pretty true and authentic to how it feels when I'm making and sharing. The thing that I return to and return to and return to in my work in general is this idea of what is the truest self, what is the truth that is just beyond reach that I'm always looking for. It kind of gets closer and closer every time I make a painting, every time I, do something artistically. It's unrelenting, which is kind of annoying, but it's like I get to do this. I'm sitting here in my studio. That's just crazy.
I've been lucky enough to film with Kendall a few times now, and each time I leave feeling inspired to make my own work. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about art, is that it inspires others to then go on and make their own artwork. Kendall talked a lot about being introspective and looking within in order to find what she wants to work on next, her next idea for a painting or project. That sort of self-analysis is a great way to have a deep understanding of who you are as an artist, but it also gives your work a really unique feeling because it's so deeply intertwined to who you are as a unique individual. But the world of art is a really big place, and so I thought we should hear from one other artist who does a completely different type of art. Harley is a 3D artist and boutique art toy maker. I actually am lucky enough to have one of his toys here. This is the I Heart My V-Pet toy, which I love a lot. It reminds me of my childhood. His compositions are fun and playful and reminiscent of the early 2000s when he was growing up as a kid. And he's one of the incredible artists that I met during my one-year stint in art school, and I've been inspired by his work ever since.
I have such mixed thoughts on this. I do think it's important for artists to share their work online for mostly the sake of community. Finding community through socials or chat rooms or forums, as a 3D artist specifically, has been beneficial in the sense that I have gotten close with a lot of 3D artists that don't do anywhere near the same type of work that I do. There's just so many avenues and so many programs to learn in the medium itself that being a part of communities like that have only helped me learn aspects of programs on the fly. And so creating a community, I think that's only going to benefit you as an artist, to not only have people that you can fall back on if you ever need their help, but it also just exposes you to other art forms within the medium that you enjoy. I do think there are dangers to sharing your artwork. I think in today's day and age where we are so focused on socials, I don't think anymore that uh, sharing your work is the most beneficial to the artist, at least when it comes to speaking to social media. I think it can trap a lot of artists in a loop of like creating only for the algorithm and not creating for themselves. And I think artists create work for themselves, whether they like to admit that or not. You have to create for yourself. If you're not creating for yourself, if it's not something you enjoy, people will see and feel that. I'm very on the side of looking at the realities of showing your work online. When it comes to sharing online and trying to gain a following, I think a lot of younger artists look at big follower counts, or like artists that are super popular that have a lot of followers. We live in a comparative culture in society, and especially when it comes to being an artist. The difference is, and something that takes a really long time to like wrap your head around when it comes to socials specifically, is the conversion rate of a high follower count to if those followers will actually like patron your arts. I personally would way rather have a small following count that will continuously interact and engage with my work, that want to support my work, because that drives me to make work for those that like love my artwork.
I think that Harley's perspective about sharing your work online is one that all artists should hear and think about. There are real downsides that can come with the pressures of social media and the feeling that you have to upload something just for the algorithm's sake. It can impact your creativity, but it can also impact the way that you connect with your own work. And like he said, an artist needs to create for themselves first and foremost. If you want your work to resonate with other people, it has to come from you as a person. I think that was my big takeaway from my conversation with him, and that if your work is exciting to you, there's a good chance that it's going to be exciting to someone else as well. But regardless of all these other reasons of why it's so important, your perspective as an artist is unique. And that's all the reason you need to create work and share it with the world. I hope this can help you overcome the fear or the doubt or the worry about sharing your work, and just know that there are people out there in the world that really would benefit from seeing it.